Okay, so we're going to take a look at this second example here. They want us to find at least 3 solutions. So let's make a table. We have our x values. 3x minus 1 is our equation. That's going to give us our y values. And then we're going to put our x and our y values together to make a point. So the x values I want you to plug in are -1, 0, and 2. Go ahead, pause the video, and plug in those numbers and figure out what your y values are. Okay, hopefully if you did that, you got -3 minus 1, which is -4. You got 0 minus 1, which is -1, and you got 6 minus 1, which is 5. So that gives us our 3 points, which are -1, -4, 0, -1, and 2, 5. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to graph the solutions as points on the coordinate plane. So I'm going to move over to the graph right now. And we're going to practice putting these onto our coordinate plane as solutions, as points. So I'm going to leave my x and y axis as the normal middle lines here. If I can get this to work. Maybe not. Okay, you get the idea. The middle line is the y-axis, just not working right now. Okay, so we're going to plot these points on the graph. So we have -1, -4. That's down here. We have 0, -1, which is right here. And then we have 2, 5, which is up here. And remember, we learned that when we have a linear equation, the solutions form a straight line on the coordinate grid. So I'm going to try to connect these with a straight line. But that's pretty good. Okay, so there's my straight line. Let's see if maybe it'll let me do this now. Okay, there we go. There's my straight line. Those are my points. It says, if we look at our steps again, it says connect the points to make a straight line. So we did that. It says mark and write the coordinate of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's take a look at our graph again. Here's the y-axis, and they're asking us to mark the point where it crosses the y-axis. So right here is where it crosses the y-axis. I'm going to mark this point. I'm going to write this point in as 0, -1. Okay, I'm going to put a circle around it so I know I'm making note of this point right here. Apparently it's special. Okay, we did that. And then it says find the slope of the line. So let's practice what we did yesterday to find the slope of the line. We used our formula. So we know we have some points here. So I'm going to use 2 of these points from the top. I'm going to use -1, -4, and 0, -1. I'm going to label them x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to write my formula. And I'm going to plug the numbers in. So, -1 minus a -4, 0 minus a -1, keep change. We get 3 over 1, which we know is 3. Okay, the second thing they want us to look at is if we notice anything happening in this problem. Okay, so I want to write the equation down here for you again so you can see it. We have y equals 3x minus 1. And I want you to take a look at the point that we marked on the graph, and I want you to take a look at the slope that we found. And ask yourself if you notice anything. Okay, so hopefully what you're noticing is that the slope is still the number that's in front of x right here. Okay, but I'm hoping you notice something a little bit more, which is that this number where we get our y-axis, where we're crossing our y-axis here, this number shows up in our equation too, right here. Okay, so this pattern is not coincidental. It's actually something that is pretty useful in algebra, and it's kind of a big deal. Okay, this is what we call slope-intercept form of a linear equation. Okay, and when you have slope-intercept form, it's in this form here, where you have y equals some number times x and then plus some number. So when you break this down, what you find is that m is actually your slope, and b is what we call our y-intercept. The y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. It's where your line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this problem, for example. So in this equation, we have y equals 2x minus 3. Now I want to bring your attention to something that's very different in this problem than in our form that's on the left-hand side. This says plus b, and this I see very clearly is a minus. So when you have the minus there, you want to do keep change because our form is with a plus sign. So if you don't do the minus, sometimes you'll get confused, but this means plus a negative 3. So the number that's here is a negative 3. Okay? If I'm looking at this equation, though, I should be able to get some information from this. Okay? There's two pieces of information I need to be able to get. My slope is 2. That's one piece of information I need. The second piece of information I need is that this negative 3 is my y-intercept. Okay? And my y-intercept is the point 0, negative 3. This means my line is going to cross the graph at the point 0, negative 3. Okay, go ahead and get started on problem 1 of your group work. I will pull us back together in just a second.